Despite all those.
Sure makes me feel better about what I'm at home.
Yeah.
It's much more polite than I am.
All right. We will go ahead and call this December 2025 meeting of the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order. My name is Keith Norris. I am the chair, at least for this last meeting. And we will start off with a roll call. Vice Chair Rick Hartwig.
Present.
Alan Alexander.
Here.
Mauricio Flores. Not here. Zachary Hammerly.
Here.
Al Holland.
Here.
Debbie Miller.
Here.
And Sigrid Olson has let us know she is unable to attend as well. So with that, we do have a quorum. And we will start off with approval of minutes from our October 9th and our November 20th, our October 9th meeting and our November 20th Parks Tour meeting. Anybody have a motion on the minutes?
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept the minutes, moved and seconded. Any comments or revisions to those minutes? All right, all those in favor of approving minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimously. We will proceed with public comment. We have two individuals here in the room who have signed up for public comment. We will start with Ken Beerley.
Let me over here.
Yes, please.
I'll keep this brief. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the state Salem Park Recreation Advisory Board. My name is Ken Beerley. I'm from Ward 8, live in West Salem. Chair of the Glen Gibson Creek Watershed Council. My comments are to this body is from your update of item 3, the Wallace Natural Area Management Plan. And I'd like to express my great appreciation to the city for reconsidering the sequence of events concerning the Wallace Marine Park Natural Area. The Glen Gibson Creek Watershed Council fully supports the proposed planning process and would like to volunteer to participate in the technical committee. We greatly appreciate your consideration of our public comments, both written and oral, to the city council in November. And we'd like to participate in SPRAB review as the process goes on. We firmly support the natural area designation, would like to be party to how that's defined and use is articulated. With that, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate the staff to listen to our considerations. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ken. And for clarity's sake, I know I saw some of you look into your agenda. Ken is commenting on the written reports, item 3A, and the written reports from staff regarding this. I believe. Next up, we have Mike Weber.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the allowing me to make comments. I did come prepared to talk about the Mission Street Parks Conservancy work order and plan for next year, but that's not going to be discussed. Consider yourselves fortunate. Secondly, I do want to talk about a 185-year-old oak tree that fell down. It will not regrow in my lifetime, nor in anyone else's lifetime here, and my grandchildren will be lucky if they have that tree that large. So I want to thank SPRAB for recommending to the city that we maintain the no-mow, that we do what we can to protect those white oaks. The leaf litter, leaving the leaf litter in the fall, not mowing in the spring, doing what we can to make the oak savanna stronger and safer is critical. Because when these trees go down, they're dangerous, but they're irreplaceable. So please keep in mind the recommendations of the urban forester and the staff members of the team that you guys give advice to. The oaks are slow growing and magnificent. lose any more. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
Appreciate the comment.
All right, that is all of the public comment signups that we had, but I wanna think, was there any other public comments in the room? No. Any other public comments online? No, okay. Just making sure I recognize all the names there. All right, with that, we will move forward to our board presentations, starting with our annual softball program update. Billy, take it away, please.
Little excitement in that voice there, Pete. As a player, I'm sure. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Billy Powers. I am the softball program manager for the city of Salem, overseeing our softball complex, our programs that we run, league and tournaments and national tournaments that we as a city, along with our partners at Travel Salem's Salem Area Sports Commission, go out and bid on to host here at the city every year. I'm gonna do a quick wrap up of 25, highlighting some things. We completed our season on September 22nd or 26th. All games were scheduled for league for fall and spring were completed. For the second year in a row in the 20 years and 18 years that the city's officially been running it. We did not have to return any league refunds because we played every game. Highlights for this year on that was we completed our summer spring league the first week of July. And as Keith can tell you, they had the month of July off for the Tuesday night league. They usually don't finish Tuesday night spring league until August because of rainouts and field conditions. We had 1.5 rainouts for the whole year. We started 2 days late. We canceled a very small preseason tournament for the umpires to be trained on because of saturation. But my Monday, it was so dry Saturday and Sunday that players complained we canceled it, but it was still wet. So, but it allowed us to start on schedule on that Monday in April. We had 154 softball teams this year between our 3 spring, summer, and fall leagues. We had 64 kickball teams, a total of 218 teams registered for the year, up from 191 last year. We played 1,110 games in league alone. And we actually had so many games completed, I'm not used to using up all the budget for the league umpires, that we had to ask for an extension on our money. So, which was good because we had more teams, so means more games too. Tournaments scheduled 27 weekends this year. We only canceled 1.5 tournaments. That first weekend was a 0.5 because it was only a Saturday. The other one was done in mid-June. We made that up on a weekend that we did not have scheduled later in the year, which worked out great for him because he doubled what he had registered from the spring tournament to that fall weekend. We hosted this year, we had 2 national weekends that we hosted. We hosted the girls fast pitch 14, 16, and 18A Westerns. Those are each different tournaments. We only had 28 teams. There was a little glitch in the whole scheduling system. A major organization, which in Parks and Rec is called the $1 Million Company that runs softball tournaments. They're actually a $1 billion company now running baseball and softball. They convinced Portland Parks and Rec to let them have the week before us. They have gotten the teams convinced you have to come here if your kid's going to go to college. It's not true, but you know, we can't fight that battle on our own. So a lot of our teams that would have been at ours, because we didn't know about it till mid-May that they were running this, because they scheduled at the last minute on purpose. Took a lot of our teams, but next year, most of those teams have let us know if their division's here, they're coming here because they weren't happy up there on how it was ran. We then also hosted, we had teams, like I said, from all over the nation, Western nations of the United States. We had about an economic impact, even with only 28 teams of 1.5 for the week. Some of those teams had planned to be here for a whole week. They didn't have to play all 6 days like we originally planned, but they came and did other stuff. We ended up hosting a slow pitch men's D&E Western National that was not on our agenda to host, but the people that were gonna host it could not do it. The regional board came to us and asked if we'd host it. We put it off until after the levy passed, cause I wasn't sure where my budget was gonna be. And so we didn't get to start promoting it till May. It was a very small tournament, but because teams from Alaska had already bought their plane tickets, when we got to the point, I was like, we're gonna run it. Alaska co-hosted it with us, took a bite on the loss that we took money-wise. They helped us cover that. And the teams had a great time. We were giving it again because we were willing to do it last year. So we are already promoting it. We had a women's NIT, which is a national invitational tournament, means they can come if they wanna come. They don't have to qualify. They were there last year. We're gonna add a men's fast pitch this year, and we moved it to Labor Day weekend because that's what the teams told us they wanted. And we're looking to fill the park up for 3 to 4 day weekend. So with that, and Alaska asked to co-host it with us, which means they're gonna help pay for things like they paid for the trophies, and there's a championship ring up here that each of the winning teams got from the two westerns. And I'll explain a little of the other stuff there. The trophy there was won by one of our Parks and Rec employees, team that he has, that he plays on all the time. They came and won the D National, and he's been telling me for about 7 years, he wants to win one at home. His rings are on the way. We had to order them afterwards because they're specially made. These ones are an example, but I'll leave these here afterwards. You can take a look. They're pretty nice, and Alaska really stepped up and said, we want to pay for a little nicer price for these guys for participating. We also did a team dinner for the first time with the adults. It was, our concessionaire loves us because they sold a lot of adult beverages during that time. So she's requested to help us out a little bit more on that next year, which Alaska also paid for that team dinner. Like I said, we did that because the levy did pass. Otherwise, we were gonna tell them we couldn't do it. In 26, league registration will open in February with the same offerings as last year. We were full last year for what we offered, plus we extended some leagues onto Wednesday night, which is a senior night, but they only have 6 to 8 teams, so we actually moved some single game softball games to there. In the past, we have also moved kickball to there, but our single games is growing, and a couple of those teams that have kind of dominated single games, which means they only play 1 game a week, have moved into our doubleheader leagues because they were not being very popular winning every game. So we asked them to move up. They played in a tournament and won it. And so they said, yeah, we can play with those guys now. So that's the whole idea of single games, is for them to learn the game, become good at it, and then move into our doubleheader leagues. We will be hosting this summer USA Softball's 26 girls 10B and 16B, and also have added the 16A Western National. Nobody had bid that, and I got called and asked to add it to it so that they had somewhere to play. That'll be the July 27th, August 2nd. There's flyers in our softball calendar on there with all the info on that. The flyer is about that, and it's our 40th anniversary. This year, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Wallace Marine Softball Complex, not the park, but the complex. And we're gonna have a lot going on with that. But the national, we always do a theme, and Jen just asked us this morning what our theme was. We picked the top 5 themes over the last 20 years that the city's run it. And we're letting the teams choose which type they want to be dressed up for at opening ceremonies. And each field will be based off of a theme. We had, it's not our first rodeo theme a couple years ago. That'll be one field. All the stuff we had, we put in storage, and we're gonna put it all back out and let these teams have a lot of fun with that. And we'll have opening ceremonies the Wednesday of that week down at Riverfront Park. Ran the playgrounds done early, Rob, and also that the seismic bridge has some sort of thing where they're not actually working that way, but we'll see, you know. Maybe Counselor Barney can help us with that. We also will be, like I said, hosting the men's D&E and adding a men's fast pitch plus the women's NIT on Labor Day. You guys, you're invited to come out during the nationals. The city has some responsibilities hosting wise for our umpires. The national staff comes here. We do probably the best hospitality in the nation. And because we do it our way, everybody wants to come here, so they vote for us to get these tournaments. So when you come out, we plan on you. If you come out, we want to feed you. We want you to meet the people from around the nation, because Nikki came out last year, and Counselor Varney, and she wouldn't talk. I would have loved her to talk because she's found out. Did you guys know she was one of the first softball girls softball players in high school when they started actually playing it, and I learned that this summer. But we'd love you guys to come out. We want you to be known by those people. And hopefully we'll get a few more city councilors out. Dan Clem used to come. I had to tell him, maybe don't run 20 miles before you come in the park to talk to them. That was a big thing, to do the run and come in and visit us. So he couldn't understand why people stood away from him. 20 miles on the trails. So but yeah, we would love all of you to come and see it. So future, like I said, we went to the softball council meeting in Oklahoma City at the end of October. What we do there is we're promoting this coming nationals that we're having, trying to get these organizers to send their teams to our area and for them to promote it because they have the contacts to them. We're also bidding on 2 years out. So we just bid on the 27 tournament. And one of the things that when we go to that, we get awarded this James Farrell Award, which I'm going to give this to you because this looks like the heavy trophy, right? That's not that. They gave us this. I had Travel Salem's representative with me. We won this award. It's, if you want to pass it down, it's very heavy. This is our 18th year for 47 tournaments we have run over that 18 years of winning this in a row. It's for the highest scored tournaments. They judge us on the complex. They judge us on how we run the tournament, how we schedule the tournament, how the hotels treat the teams, how the restaurants. We've won this and been one of the top scorers of it for this 18 years. It all started when Bruce Bolton was that summer. We didn't even know we won the award. When we were there, we weren't going to the luncheon because Bruce was like, what do we go to this luncheon for? It's an award thing for the organization. We got a call. Why aren't you here? You're getting a pretty major award. We didn't even know about it. So Bruce was running at the time. He came to it snowing real loud, just like Dan. So I guess it was a city thing back then. But we pride on this. This tells you why we get these over and over. So I just have to tell them, 15-pound award doesn't really work in a carrier. So Tom Garlock, like I said, from Travel Salem came with us. He told me he had room in his luggage. Guess who took that home for us? And he has presented it to every Travel Salem thing, board, commission, and events he's with, showing that off to people. So he actually has given me several names of people that are like, oh, we want to be involved. I'm like, they told us no when we asked them, so it's helping. We won the bid for the USA Softball Girls 12, 14, 16, and 18A Western National in 27, which we will host the last weekend in July that year. But the big thing was there's a new national that USA went away from having one big national about 10, 15 years ago. We came up, I'm on this fast pitch committee for their national as part of their council. And we came up with, we want one true national. Right now, kids go to things called nationals. It's not about the nationals, it's about being seen by colleges. But we've had a lot of the top teams say, we want to go play against the best team from Oregon, Alaska, Connecticut. We don't want to play anybody that just wants to enter and can do a little qualification. So each association, 63 of them are being given one berth starting this summer to a national of their age group. Johnson City, Tennessee is hosting all 5 of them this year. I put in wanting one because it's going to be 60 to 70 teams depending on the at-large purse in 1 week. And I got the call a week before from the chair of this committee and said, what do you want? I go, what do you mean? He goes, which ones do you want? You get part of them. I go, I want one. And then he called me an hour later and said, what age? There were 5 cities bidding on it that put bids in for it. And they decided we're making this decision by the committee without presentations because we know all these towns. You have to have proven you can do this to be allowed to bid. We're the rarity size-wise that are allowed in it. So he called me and I told him I wanted 14A because that's the most teams on the West Coast are 14As, is the biggest division. He said, great. Salem, Virginia got the other 4. Salem, Virginia is not happy that I was given the 14A. So, and he wanted to trade with us. And I was like, no, there's a reason you want that. Same reason I want it. So we'll be hosting that right after Ironman. That was our problem. Ironman, great event for the city. It really messes up hotel prices for softball teams. So, we'll be following 2 days after them starting this and running it. Just finish up here real quick. We'll be running 7 city hosted tournaments, which is our Play for a Cure tournaments. and 2 adult slow pitch tournaments that we started last year that we host ourselves. Along with using Gear Park for a couple of these, we are able to grow some of these tournaments that we've been maxed out, sold out for almost 10 years on 2 of these weekends. And the third weekend, it's Mother's Day. I don't think it's a good risk to add 20 more teams to a tournament on Mother's Day, because then I'm just gonna make more moms mad. So these ones are the ones that want to be here. We always sell out. We'll have over 18 weekends rented. We have almost all of them committed already. I have 2 that I just got to figure out which weekends they're gonna take. Each of them are kind of negotiating with each other. And last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, we're doing a 40th anniversary. The weekend of the Jim Sherman tournament, which is an adult senior tournament, 45 and up, all the way to, I think the highest division this year was 80 and up. That plays here the second week of July. That Wednesday night, we don't play league on that night. It's the only night we don't play league when they're here. And a lot of those players played here back in 1986 and stuff, or lived here and stuff. We're gonna host 40th celebration that night, and we're hoping to induce our first City of Salem Hall of Fame members that we're gonna start this summer. So that's all I have. Oh, I did forget the hat here. When Travel Salem came this year, they haven't been since COVID. They hosted a booth. It wasn't about the bid. It was about talking about Salem and supporting the city of Salem and our endeavors in this national stuff. They had hats made with our softball city logo on, and the voting members who you want to have that hat, we're all given that hat at this show. And they love the hat. I had people begging for them afterwards that weren't voting members, so. But it was very nice of them to come. They sent Tom, and he probably will be coming with us every year just to promote Salem. It's not about necessarily the booth getting us bids, because the way the bid system is now, we don't have to spend $1,000 on a booth for people to come and tell them to vote for us. It's just nice to entice them for later on or thank them, so. But yeah, and that's all I have.
Great, thanks, Billy.
All right.
Appreciate all that. Questions? Vice Chair?
Yeah, thank you, Billy. It's very ambitious. You're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And just some comments. It's been many years, but before I was playing in city leagues, co-ed, city league, church league, and before Wallace Marine Park was built, which makes me feel very old.
Well, there's a few of you that are still
Yeah,
around.
there was a really bad field there before. And I was a softball coach at Walker Middle School, and we played our games there. But all the city league, church league, co-ed were being played. Actually, the co-ed was being played on the bad field there, but it was at the fairgrounds, which is no more.
Right.
And I also want to thank you for starting the fast pitch league. I grew up in a town in north central Montana that had an international softball fast pitch tournament every year.
Yeah.
And it's good, and a lot of teams from Canada were there, and it was big time, real big time. So when I moved out here, I had to play slow pitch. And it was I had to adapt.
Yep,
And
it's a different game.
It was difficult. I guess my question for you is, do you see a need for more fields than what we have?
Yes. We with Gear Park, we can add more games and stuff, but that's also, that's our only real baseball fields that we own. So we're gonna be sharing it with baseball, and it's gonna be high demand. I can tell you this one true tournament, if we do a good job on this, they're gonna want us to do more of it, which will mean more weeks, which is great for the city, but as my staff is already freaked out about next summer, we're gonna go back-to-back weeks with nationals. If we were to do 3 weeks of nationals in the summertime, I probably would lose half my staff that generally returns every summer, because they are going to work their tails off. And but yeah, we are the hub of the West Coast, Northern California to Seattle. And if we had turf fields and a complex, we would be busy every weekend with softball and baseball. I mean, my vision, and I shared a lot with Rob, is we build a complex that can be a softball, baseball field, and at least small-sided soccer fields on it in turf, because we would have it full year round. So.
I'm just out of the blue, fields. Somehow Willamette University's baseball field comes to mind. I'm wondering if there's been any communication with them about possible use of that, especially with it being a turf field now.
Well, the problem with softball with Willamette baseball field, and Rob can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe they're doing a temporary mound like we did. We have a mound for baseball that can be taken off the field and have this softball, 'cause softball doesn't have a raised mound. I don't believe Willamette did that. They insisted on having the dirt mound for their pitchers. You can play some levels of fast or slow pitch on a field with a mound. Fast pitch, they have to be top level players because they have to realize that mound's behind them as a pitcher. And that they'll run into it, plus the ball shoots up if it does hit it, so. We may in the future, I don't know what our partnership on use of that was agreed to. I know the high schools get to use it when they're not using it for rainouts, so.
When the field's available, the city has can reserve it. So it is, we don't have a priority of any kind of sort.
Good thought though.
Can I just?
Other questions? Council Barney, go ahead.
Thank you. What about Willamette and Chemeketa's softball fields?
Well, as of now, the softball field is supposed to be turfed. Willamette's or Chemeketa's softball field is supposed to be turfed. But when I talked to Dave, the AD over there at a SAS meeting a couple months ago, he wasn't absolutely positive it was gonna happen because there were more costs to it. And they have now partnered with the Marionberries on the baseball field, and that's being done. The renovations they have to do there is being done there now, so. So I'm hoping, I mean, cause we have a pretty good relationship with the AD and the softball coach out there. Like she comes out to our tournaments every weekend, either coaching younger kids or recruiting. You know, and I got her two players for this fall. Last year, just make an announcement, if you're looking to play college this fall, the coach is in the thing, and she met two kids because they came over and said, who's looking? So she was short 2 players to be able to play it all, so so she owes us, so yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, a great presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, continuing on with some presentations. Kathleen on permit-based facility use and park reservations.
Hello all. I'm here to talk about the facilities in our parks that get rented. And this is other than the court and field reservation. So this is just for really events. I'll go over some details and some numbers with you, and any questions you have, I can dive a little deeper. So between this year, and I'm counting there's a couple more at the end of this year. So between the beginning of January and the end of December, we'll have 785 permitted uses of Salem facilities. Some examples include 151 permitted uses of Pringle Hall and Park, 72 permitted uses of Bush Park facilities, 117 permitted uses of Minto Brown Island Park Shelter, 55 uses of River Roads Park Shelter, and 236 uses of Riverfront Park facilities, 80 of which were at the Jerry Frank Salem Rotary Amphitheater, the new amphitheater down there. I don't have access to our end of year financial reports, but I'm able to look in our point of sale, which our customers are billed through. And when I look at it, the numbers are very similar to what they were last year. And same with the amount of reservations. Everything looks like we're right on track as to where we were last year. So that's good news for us because as you guys know, it was a challenging year for us with a lot of variables. I thought a lot of people are really interested in Riverfront Park, so I thought I would dive in to the events that happen there a little more. We have lots of fun runs, so that would look like the ALS or the Run to Remember, Run for the Rare, Doggy Dash, Superhero Run, and the Cherry City Half Marathon or some of those. We also have really big events that happen there. Those are going to be your concerts and your festivals. Something like Mexico and El Corazon, Make Music Day, World Beat, Iron Man, Theater Under the Stars, Family Fest, Capital City Retro Fest, which is the new one that was fun. Punks in the Park, Pride in the Park, the Carousel Cruise Car Show. And we also then host city organized events at the park. So the city organizes events, all the events that I've mentioned before, those are members of our community who rent space from us. So for the city organized events, you'll find at Riverfront, you'll find movies in the park and concerts in the park. And then Center for 50 Plus, they host the Boot, Scoot, and Brew. We also have our Stride and Holiday Fun Runs, as well as the Holiday Lighting event that just happened. And that's a really fun annual event. We also have our private events. Those are your birthday parties, reunions, and picnics. Typically, those are in the shelter. And we have our vendor plaza program, which we have a rotation of vendors in the food truck area near the playground down at Riverfront. So we have all of that going on. It's a full schedule with a lot of activities. And in the year ahead, we've already been contacted by most of all the same events that will be returning and a couple fun new ones as well that you'll get to look for on the calendar when it comes out. We're juggling all of this with the construction you've all heard about. So there's a lot happening at Riverfront, and we are making sure that we can get it all done and keep everything running. That's all I have for you today. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Great, thanks Kathleen. Any questions? Al?
Where can I get a calendar with all these events on it?
That's a really good question. We're hoping we're going to have a solution for that in the upcoming year of one place to go that you can get all the information. What we run into is that we don't host the majority of these events. So event organizers need to be able to share information. And so we're hoping that we can find a way that we can utilize a public calendar and make sure that we're directing everybody to one source to find, this is where you're going to find all the events.
Are they all scheduled through an office that could compile that?
Well, potentially, you are going to run into issues with sharing information about an event that the city isn't organizing. So if the city isn't actually organizing the space, we're just renting the space, kind of quantifying which events would go on this calendar, how that all is handled can get a little tricky for us. So it's better if we put the onus on the event organizers to make sure that they have a calendar that they can post to and make sure that their event information is out rather than putting that on the city. And now we're taking ownership of an event that isn't ours.
That'll help make sure the data that you're putting out is accurate. Responsible for it, but also like communications wise from the event organizers and when do they want to announce it versus maybe much later than when they actually reserve it and that sort of thing. Right, the strategy of the communications from the organization. Kathleen, how far out do we reserve?
1 year. 1 year ahead of time, you can request your reservation and get your permit so we can get you on the calendar.
And I asked just because thinking about some of the things we learned about Riverfront with our park tour and some of the electrical upgrades and things that we're hoping to install in that park could enhance some of the events and activities that are available, particularly at Riverfront.
Yeah, we're really hoping that that's the idea, especially with the electrical upgrades, is that there's more and better power for these events. The vaults can be really tricky. If you saw them, they're big, deep vaults that are hard to access, and really you should probably be a professional if you're in there. So if we have better access that all types of events can use, that's the goal and what we're working towards and what it's really looking like we're going to get.
Right. My other question is, I think last year when you spoke to us, you were really looking to amplify, that's the wrong word, looking to increase the use of the amphitheater, that's why it was the wrong word. Did you feel like you were successful in doing that this year? You know, that was a kind of a new park resource or newer park resource that you were really trying to drive, I think, like small concerts and things.
Yeah, I would say it's constantly growing and we're getting all kinds of excitement and new events in there. I'm really happy with where the amphitheater is at. I think it has a great varied amount of everything from small events where you're getting those local groups who get a chance to use this really cool resource up to the big concerts. So I'm really happy with where we're at and the interest only continues to grow.
Any other questions? Rick?
Yeah, have you, maybe I missed something. Have you had to increase your rental fees at all in the last few years?
We have, yes.
You know, inflation hits everybody.
Yeah, yeah, we have, I think fees have increased across the board for this city. So our fees have increased just like they have for even other departments as well. It's challenging. You hear about fees, but Riverfront is such a beautiful, amazing park, highly desired, and an incredible asset. So with things like Riverfront Park, where you're going to see those rental fees are going to be some of the higher ones that the city has for facilities. You're going to see that the desire is still there. You hear feedback that it is challenging for people, so we can only push it so far. And we just had another fee increase, so we'll wait to hear how that is impacting the events that are upcoming.
Hi, Linda Nishioka, City Councilor Ward 2. The Finance Committee has done some fee increases, but they also were very mindful about the discounts that they could provide, especially for the children's events. I don't know, Jennifer, if you're aware of those fee increases and some of those that they've kept. But anyway, the Finance Department really worked hard at trying to find a space for some fee increases, but also opportunities for discounts. And those were brought to the council just a month or so ago, I think it's been. And so those have moved forward. It was challenging because a lot of the fees don't cover the costs. And so we're trying to find that happy place that can work without pushing too hard.
And I will note, just to piggyback on what Councilor Nishioka was mentioning, so the fee increases for youth, and Melinda will talk a little bit about that, that's under her purview, but we also, the council, a couple of years back, did a 20% fee reduction for nonprofit groups, and that's still in place, so it applies for some things and throughout recreation. But the other fee that Councilor Nishioka was referencing is we went from a 20% fee waiver for youth participation in some of the youth programs that Melinda oversees to 50% in this year. So, you know, and then as Kathleen mentioned, over this next year, once these fees will continue to kind of monitor to see the impact on participation levels with those fees and see if any future adjustments need to be made, if we need to kind of hold the line or if there's still opportunity to increase, or maybe it's affected participation level or event usage level to where we might have to reevaluate the fees that are there. So it's a delicate balance to get as much as we're able to do based on kind of like market rates versus when it kind of swings the pendulum to the point where then folks no longer want to do that and actually will decrease the city's revenue because you have less interest. So yeah, so but we'll see. We're gonna monitor it closely over the next year before the next fee schedule goes into place.
One more, Al.
What are the fees covering, and what is the goal of charging those fees? What do the offset?
Yeah, that's a great question. It covers a lot. So there's going to be a lot that the fees are trying to capture. One is just the impact to the space that we can think of any of our facilities, whether it's just an open meadow or it's a shelter, that there is a cost to just having those. So the fee is trying to at least partially recognize that there's a cost to the facility itself and that the impacts that it has. It's also trying to cover any sort of staff time that it takes to be able to facilitate events within those areas. And there's a lot that goes into that, everything from the parks people who are on the ground there at the event to the staff time that it takes to prep for the event beforehand.
So very likely without those fees, these operations couldn't continue.
Yes, that's correct. We definitely need some sort of fees to cover the cost of having the facilities. There is inherent cost to these events being in our public spaces. Just having public spaces is a very expensive thing. So then the impact of having an event in those spaces is even larger. We just got to make sure that everybody who's coming into our spaces, they have to do a certain amount of things, whether that's paperwork or preparing for the event. And then when they're in our facilities, that they have everything they need. So that takes staff time, and there is, I mean, even for some of these events, right, there's damage to the park that happens. So the fees try to cover that cost as best as you can, map it all out and kind of get an average for what they're going to cost.
In the permitting process, is there any way to encourage, without necessarily requiring, but to strongly encourage people using the park in those ways to use non-single-use plastics and recyclable materials?
I love that idea personally, on a personal level. I love that idea. I don't know that we're there yet. I know that whenever I get a chance to talk with people in our city who deal with more of our natural resources or planning for our green spaces, things like that, they all have the same idea. Implementing some of that takes a long time and takes a lot of planning. I do really love the idea. And I know a lot of events do it on their own. Creating a standard for what that looks like, I haven't gotten that far, but I personally love that idea.
Even encouraging it'd be good. Thank
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kathleen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Melinda, come on up to tell us about the recreation program highlights from the year.
I'm Melinda Moon and I run the recreation programs. I also do the scheduling of the athletic facilities in all of our parks. So this last year has been a wild roller coaster, to say the least. We started out the year, we started a new program. We had an NFL flag football program. So we partnered with NFL. I don't know if you've seen their promos on TV. They're heavily promoting flag football. And in fact, they're getting it as I think it's going into the LA Olympics. So they're doing a lot of promotions. So we started an NFL flag football program, and we had a lot of fun. We got some good registrations. We are looking to expand that this coming spring. We already have people that have been reaching out during the month of December. When are you going to start registration? So we're hoping that that's a good sign. One of the really cool things about the NFL flag football program is that the participants get a reversible jersey that is an NFL team jersey. So the NFL has gone ahead and provided the licensing for the kids to wear these jerseys. So it's kind of a lot of fun, and you hear the kids talking back and forth about the teams that they're representing. So we did try to take the spring program and implement it in the fall. it turns out that there's a lot of fall programs that people are already happy with. So we pivoted and we offered a football skills and scrimmage program instead. And we had a large participation for that. Staff were teaching the basics like throwing, catching. We taught how to run some plays and things like that. And some of that is in coordination with NFL flag football. So they provide you with some of that information and then we just expanded on it. So we held those in the spring, we held the games at Wallace Marine Park. And in the fall, we held them at River Road Park. And I think we're going to return to River Road Park. That was a great venue for us. So as the flag football spring program was wrapping up, we were in the middle of news waiting for the levy to pass and trying to figure out what we were going to do for the summer. Summer registrations typically begin around mid-March, and we waited for the news of the levy, which meant registration started like mid-June. So that's like a 3-month gap. And if you're a parent, you start figuring out your kids' programming at spring break time because it comes really quick. But we did go ahead and start registrations for those contract camps because we knew those were stable. We had a partnership with Skyhawks. Skyhawks typically does like a multi-sport camp. They do flag football. They do a bunch of different camps for us. Volleyball is very popular through them. We went ahead and allowed them to add a soccer camp because at the levy passed, we weren't going to have enough time to offer that. So we typically will tell them no because we do it with our staff. We went ahead and added soccer through Skyhawks. We also added golf, which was really popular. They used Nerf balls and we did it at Sumter Park. That's a popular park for summer camps. So in 2024, we had 135 registrations for the contract classes. With the addition of the Skyhawks camps and bringing back Lego, we almost tripled our registrations for the contract camp. So we then had almost 400 registrations for contracts. Those are really important for us because they're week-long camps. They tend to be half and full day camps, and that's what parents are wanting to have. For that, we used to provide a 20% fee waiver. And this last summer, we did not have that fee waiver. It didn't hurt our registrations, but we weren't offering other things either. So we don't really have a good feel on how that's going to look. So post the levy, registration started just as school was getting out. So if you're a parent, that's a crazy time, right? We put together as many camps as we could, the ones that we knew that families wanted because they had been asking for them while we were waiting for the levy. We hired staff. We started camps instead of the last week in June. We started it the second week in July. We offered adult pickleball in the evenings at Woodmansey. Those were popular. We're probably going to have to offer more of that this in 2026. Pretty much because we got nonstop phone calls after our session was done. We just didn't have the ability to keep it moving. So we're going to look at extending that time period this year. We also offered youth pickleball camps. We offered tennis camps. The tennis camps were really, I feel like those may have been really impacted by waiting on the levy news because those are one of the ones that parents do all their other camps around our tennis camps. So in 2024, we had 250 youth. In 2025, we had 140. The good news is that we usually are heavy in the young kids for tennis camps. And then as they start to get older, they move on to other sports. But this summer we had a large population of older kids. And that's really important for us because like those kids, they come back and teach for us. So it's like really exciting because you get to watch them starting at 5 and then they get up to like 16, 15. And then they're like, when can we start working for you? And so I'm hoping that we had so much fun last summer with the older kids that we're gonna try to transition them into some volunteer opportunities, which will hopefully then give them experience enough that they can apply for those jobs. So that was fun. And I had fun. I got to teach tennis all summer too, which I don't typically get to do. And so I had a blast working with those kids and it was a lot of fun. We were able to offer our all-comer track meets, even though we started registration those are the Wednesdays in July. So we had, I think, 5 Wednesdays in July. Yeah. And we decided to forego the first Wednesday. And we ended up having the same number of participants this summer as we did last summer, which was 340 kids came out on Wednesdays in July and participated in those. So I think they have a blast because everybody gets a ribbon. So even when you have 45 and unders competing, and everybody gets a ribbon. And so we worked really fast and furiously to get those ribbons out every single night, which is a lot of ribbons, I will say. So we have to pay for the facility. We pay to use South Salem High School because it is central. It's also on a bus line, which makes it easy for parents that have to ride the bus to the program to be able to bring their kids. We do the high jump, the long jump. We do a shot put and we do a softball throw for the little kids. And then we have running events for them. So it's quite a lot of fun. Yeah. We did offer the summer parks program. That is one of the favorites in the community. We offered it at Sumter Park, Inglewood Park, and then instead of having it at Sunny Slope, because we figured those families could probably go to Sumter, we offered it at Weathers Park for 3 weeks, and then we offered it at Hoodview Park. So we typically haven't had an East Salem location, but we felt with the levy passing and the fee waivers changing a little bit, it was an opportune time to try to offer it in that part of town. Weathers Park wasn't as popular as I had kind of hoped it would be, but Hoodview seems to be a promising park for us. So we did that, and then we had low numbers for summer parks, so traditionally that has been 100% fee waiver, and we said 20%. So our numbers, and also we started registration late, so I will say that. We had almost 1,000 kids in 2024. We had about 400 kids in 2025. Our numbers were slightly low. So one thing that we added this year is we added a 1-day registration. This was also to help the families. So they really rely on the summer parks program because it's 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. And that's great daycare. It's really inexpensive. The kids get to play. I don't know if you've ever taken your kids to the park, but can you imagine spending 4 hours watching your kids play in the park? Most families don't have that time, but they send their kids to us and now they get 16 hours a week playing in the park. They are not allowed screens, so it's all screen-free time. We do arts and crafts, we have playground time, we do sports, we have a theme every week. And then we do all the games based on those themes, and staff come up with the games. So our numbers were a little low. We had hired the staff. So we implemented a 1-day drop-in option. And lo and behold, we had 155 registrations through that, which is actually a really large number. And families loved it. So I have a feeling we're gonna have to look at continuing that one. But it was really helpful this last summer because families wanted to support the summer parks program, and they had already made arrangements for other programs, but they came on the days then they didn't have those other programs. So we're really thankful to have that option. We had movies in the park. We had 4 movies. They were well supported with sponsorships. We're hoping to continue that. We only paid for 3 of the 4 movies because the year before we had a rain out. So we just used that licensing. We rolled it forward to this year. So that was a nice savings. We had Stride this year. Stride fees changed dramatically. But we seem to be okay for the registrations. We offered 1 less. And so we had about 60 less participants, but had we had the same number, I think we would have broke even on our participation. So we had 460 participants come out for the different Stride events. Those are a lot of fun. What I'm finding is the majority of participants are coming from outside of Salem. So it's a little challenging because Minto Brown is a large park. And if you don't know the park pathways, you can get lost pretty easily. And we signed the races the day of, and we're trying to be really careful and make sure everything is signed properly because we have people coming from Portland, Tillamook, Scappoose, like all kinds of places. Yeah. And then if you've never been to Minto, you need to know where to go, right? So that kind of translated into the turkey trot too. We had our largest number for the turkey trot. So we do it the Saturday before Thanksgiving. Run Cornucopia does it on Thanksgiving. We don't pay staff the holiday time, so we are not gonna offer a Thanksgiving Day run. But we had people here, of the 400, almost 500 participants that actually ran in the event, a little less than 200 were from Salem Kaiser. So the other 300 were from outside of our area. And we even had people come from Washington, Colorado, Pennsylvania, New York, Georgia, and West Virginia. And I'm sure they're here visiting their families, but it's pretty cool that we get to share Riverfront Park and Minto Brown with them. And that's where the run took place. So, and then we also we had in October, we had our Frightfully Fun Run. That was a windstorm day. The hour before the race happened, I wasn't even sure we were gonna pull it off because the trees in Wallace were creaking as they were blowing in the wind. But we did have 100 people come out and participate in that. And it was just a 1K and a 3K because it's mostly little kids and they come in costume. And this year we had them run across the Union Street Bridge. And I wish we would have gotten photos because I think it would have been fun to see kids in costumes on the Union Street Bridge. So we had that. And then we just, last weekend, we had the kickoff to the holiday lights display that Kathleen was discussing. And then the next night, we had the Jingle Bell Relay. So we do a 1K loop in Riverfront Park through the lights display, and you do it 5 times. And you can do it by yourself or you can do it with a team. We moved that from a Friday to a Saturday. And then I know it's dry today, but Saturday was the start of the crazy weather. So our registrations were down a little bit. We have fair weather runners in our activities, but we still did have about 100 registrations. And that equates, when you think about it, you can have a team of 1 to 5. So 100 registrations is anywhere from 100 to 500 people participating in it. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So next year we're looking into 2026 now. We have a new contract class. We're going to add a chess camp, and we're going to do it at Center 50 Plus. And my hope is that that might be a great partnership, and maybe an opportunity for some of the patrons at Center 50 Plus to come help with the chess camp in the future. And then with the addition of the futsal court at Hoover Park, we're hoping to offer a futsal camp this summer too and pull people into the park to discover it and then also just introduce a new sport to some of the kids in town. So, yeah.
Great, thank you, Melinda. First question from me, with all of those camps and activities, do you know how many total across all of those individual kids we're looking at?
I
You got like
don't,
300 over here and 400 over there, like,
I did not put all of them together
Yeah.
because, last year in 2024, we were hosting, I think it was 23 camps a week we were offering. And this last summer, it was like maybe 10 camps a week. So I didn't feel like it was a fair number to show, but I can supply you with that information if you'd like.
it just, as you're talking all those numbers, I just think it'd be of kind of some fascinating data about how many families across Salem are engaged, how many kids are engaged. Looking at kind of the neighborhood reach that you're getting from that with addresses could be really informative, really interesting to see.
And I think that'd be
Great.
great data to get out there when we are asking for money. You know, like we did with the livability bond or levy. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how much our parks can contribute to the wellness of our community. And I think that numbers would really help in that campaign.
Be happy to do that. The Summer Parks program is another program that's really important for us for staffing wise because that program is for ages 5 to 12. And then as the kids turn 13, they tend to volunteer in that program and then they tend to apply for positions also. So they go from being a participant to becoming a volunteer, which can be a tricky transition because now they're telling kids what to do, but they also want to play like the kids. And we're like, oh, now you're too old. You gotta transition to being more of an instructor. And so that one's a great one for us too. And we actually have quite a few of our staff grew up in those programs. So it's kind of fun to see them as a staff person. And I recently, at the end of this summer, one of our previous staff, he's a doctor now at the Children's Hospital in Seattle. He sent me an email like in September and he was like, and he did tennis for us and basketball and soccer. And he's like, Melinda, like summer just ended and it makes me recall my days spending time in the park. And I was just wondering, how did programs go? And so it's kind of fun. Yeah, to be able to share that with them and then they keep like reaching out, like, you know, he's an adult. He's like, I think he's 30 now. I'm not sure. Yeah, and he's just like so engrossed in it. So it's kind of fun. It's really cool to watch them grow up and still be invested. And he lives in Seattle and he wants to know what's happening in Salem Park. So it's great. Yeah.
I will just say, Keith, to piggyback on with kind of quantifying the participation level. I think this upcoming year will be more indicative of kind of where we are. You know, since COVID, there were so many rules around youth and participating in programs for 2 years that obviously was impactful on our numbers. And then for the 2 years since COVID transpired, we had budget reductions. This last year we had levy, and so things were late. And so we really haven't had a typical normal year with regard to our program, especially surrounding youth, which is really impacted by the last few years. That I think the 2026 year is really our first opportunity in 4+ years where we'll see back on track with a normal schedule of getting the rec calendar out, having the normal level of programs that we typically would have, all of those kinds of things without the other variables. So yeah, which will be great information to have as we move forward for future for levy and all of that. But it's hard when folks aren't familiar with some of those specifics and you just look at numbers. It can be misleading to see some of those participation numbers because they really have been skewed because of circumstances that were, you know, beyond our control directly. So we're really looking forward to this coming year to kind of see when we're back on track and have some of that continuity, you know, that our kids are back out there.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, but I think it's making sure we're setting up the databases to be able to
100%.
tell that story
Yeah.
of the impact that we're having across the community is
Absolutely,
will be important for the
especially with you.
for messaging and promoting as we move forward.
I think some of those stories are in the kids that are participating too,
Yeah.
which the numbers are never gonna capture. So, I mean, you hear the stories of the kids who's got, I mean, some of them have tough home lives too, right? And then we provide opportunities for them that their peers wouldn't even, they don't even have to worry about that. They can do almost any camp they want, right? And so, it's just kind of always interesting to be out in the programs and hearing the stories and seeing why the kids are out there. And it is fun. Like we've had parents say, like, it's great because they're not on their screens, you know, and that's something we're gonna probably really promote this summer because it seems to be in the forefront. So we're gonna take advantage of that and really promote that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Questions from the board? Other questions?
I have a couple questions for you. Can you all hear me online?
You can, Zachary, go for it.
Hey, first of all, thank you so much. You're a key citizen in Salem doing all these programs for youth. I think it's incredibly valuable. I have a question too, piggyback of almost on how many participants you have is substantial. I mean, comparative numbers through other similar size cities would be really interesting to see that data. And also, it would be really cool to see how many youth employees you have under 18 and how that can impact, you know, what you're doing. I mean, that's a huge resource for you. I'm sure. I know your staff hiring must be a, you know, kind of an event, getting people all set up for these camps. And I think those numbers are really valuable because what a great selling point for parents with older age kids too, who are actually employed and finding those first summer jobs, to be able to, and it's just like you said, it's so big and it's such a rewarding thing for us to see. So I just think that would be really cool. How many people you employ? How old are they? What would they be doing otherwise? That's powerful. So, but thank you so much. Your numbers from last year are great. Like it seems like you can only move forward. And then the second question that I have, which that was more of a statement for statistics, but with these third party arrangements that you have with Skyhawks camps and anything like that, moving forward, how do you, as in your role, balance what should be that third party, which I'm sure has a different ROI than your in-house programs? How do you balance those and find what would be best for what groups? Do you have, is it space? Is it, how do you do that?
So some of it, like tennis. So for those of you that are not familiar with me in the room, I worked for the city for 27 years in this capacity. So my time at the city, we've always had tennis. Tennis has been huge. We have private clubs, Salem Tennis and Swim Club and Illahee. So people can pay to go to the private clubs to play tennis. But we're the only ones that provide tennis and we have a rich history with it. I love tennis. So for that, I think it's important that we hold on to it. Plus we have these great tennis facilities too. And I can easily foster those camps. So when Skyhawks offers tennis, I'm like, no, we already hire for that and we want to program for it. We know we can do a good job on that. Golf, we don't necessarily do, and I don't have the equipment for golf. So we tend to say, okay, that's one Skyhawks, you can go ahead and try to offer it and see what the participation level is for that. Legos would be another camp that requires a lot of supplies. So that one's an easy one to have somebody contract out. Soccer, I mean, Salem has a lot of kids that play tennis, that play soccer, that play basketball. Those are camps that we can easily hire the teenagers to come in and teach and be able to put forth a really good camp. We also have college students that are teaching those camps, and parents like it, even though, I mean, you think about, oh, I want to send my kid to soccer camp. Do they need to be professional or can they be Parks and Rec instructors? A lot of the parents really like the Parks and Rec instructors. They like that the kids are being taught by a teenager that is close in age, because the kids relate to the teenagers and then they just foster this love. We have stories of kids that don't play sports. They try tennis and they're going into high school the next year. So if you can imagine at 8th grade picking up a brand new sport amongst your peers, it's not that easy to do, right? Because you're really self-conscious, but they had so much fun in tennis that now they go to high school and they're trying out for their high school basketball team. We've instilled so much confidence in them that they're trying new things. And that's the most important part, is we're providing opportunities. We're teaching people about the amenities that we have in our parks that they can take advantage of. They don't have to pay a monthly fee to go and play tennis or play basketball. They can come and utilize our parks and our spaces. And the busier the park is, the happier the park is, right? We can show that there's less crime. The park is better taken care of and everything. So it's really teaching the community everything that is at their disposal that they're already paying for, and just broadening their horizons and their interests. And then whatever we can't provide, we'll just contract it out from there. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. You're a treasure.
Thank you. Any other
Great.
questions?
Any other questions for Melinda? Thank you, Melinda.
Okay, thank you. I think I took more time than you guys were planning on. I appreciate it.
All of you did. Is that right? That was great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It was good. We really only hear from it once a year, so it's good to dive in on all of it.
Yeah, we've heard here.
It's good, important work, and
Yeah, it is.
glad to hear about all of it happening with it.
It's huge.
Where are we? Park tour debrief. I believe this is open floor for the board. For those who were able to attend the park tour last month, to hear any highlights, any takeaways, any key observations that you had while we toured the 3 parks. We toured the 3 parks that were on there. Debbie, take it away.
I just loved it. I loved it the last time we were here too. Deer Park is stunning. I mean, I just can't believe all the potential with that park and how beautiful it is and how well used it is, and came from nothing. I mean, it just came from that field and now it's just this beautiful, just one of a kind thing that you guys have created. So I just love that. I also, the futsal thing is really cool. I didn't even know such a thing existed, and it's a great multi-use thing that kids can do whatever they want with it, and also have to organize time with it as well. So I just think you've done a great job with it. And they're also using that park now for she mentioned they're using that so that's kind of cool.
I would concur with what Debbie has to say, especially about the futsal court. I had no awareness of it until I saw it on that tour, and I appreciate the expansion of the services, that opportunity to get there. I've been doing a few park visitations, inspections thing. River Road Park, that has been improved with the new surfacing of the tennis activity courts, is looking very nice. The plantings that were done for the trees there are taken in and looking really good. So I'm happy with the tour and having seen those things.
Can I ask you to comment on the skate park that you
Oh,
made you late to the?
I omitted that. You know, I spoke with a number of the guys. They offered me a chance to skate and stuff. I did a little bit there, but not too much because I know my limitations. The surface of that is outstanding. This is made for skating. This is not just concrete poured in that shape. This is a surface that is well designed and intended for what use. It's got it's got everything. It's got the shelter. It's got the rims on the edges. It's got benches. It's a great facility and I asked them, how did you hear about this? I don't know, everybody knows it. And they like that place. The problems that are emerging for those guys are keeping it to the skates. And there are a sign posted that motorized wheels aren't supposed to be there. But they've had issues with RC cars coming in and shooting up and doing stuff, and e-bikes coming in and doing their thing on there. And they've kind of self-policed by moving those people or telling them, hey, you don't want to get over there in that space. Because there's the unpaid or the
track.
the dirt track next door. So it's what seems to be working well, and I was amazed at the number of people this morning over there. It must have been 50 guys and a few women. It was amazing. So I'm really happy with that work.
Good, thanks for circling back and checking it out again. Rick?
Yeah, I just wanna ditto everything that's been said. Especially the Hoover area, that's a very kind of a depressed area, and anything we can do in those areas, that looks like a wonderful addition there. I would like to have this happen more than once a year.
The tour?
I think that it's really good for us to get out and see what's going on. Most of you know that when I first got on the board and I attended a meeting and people were talking about different parks, and I'm going, I've lived in South Salem for 40 some years. Where is this place? Where is this place? So, and then Al got on the board here, and so we went and visited every park. And it was one of the most important things we could do. And so anytime we can get out and see what's going on, I think it's definitely worthwhile. I think it would merit more than once a year.
Get on a road.
I'll have you bring that back up for item F. For work plan for next year. But I think it's a great observation, and I love that you and Al in particular have gotten out to all the parks during your time on the board. I think from my perspective, yeah, it was a great tour. I really love seeing a number of the things that we've talked about on SPRAB over the last couple of years really kind of coming to fruition and getting put in action on the ground with Gear Park and the skate park there, the baseball and soccer field upgrades. Those are all things that we've been involved with, the master planning approval for that park with the dog park addition, and the efforts that we had on that. I personally am excited about the riverfront park upgrades and the playground upgrades and the expedited nature or efficient nature with which the city is approaching the playground renewal reconstruction there. And those efforts that are underway. I think it's a great expression of that is merging together some of the bond work that the voters approved, some of the grants that the staff have applied to that SPRAT has been supportive of and written letters in support of. So a lot of it was a good tour showing an example of a number of various components that have all come together to make those improvements happen across the city. So appreciate the time the staff put in to planning that out and to showing us that. Appreciate some members of the public coming along. Appreciate Councilor Varney coming along as well to see the things that are happening out there in our parks. Next on our agenda, if there's any more on that parks tour. And abruptly transitioned. Neighborhood association outreach. Any information or discussion from members who have perhaps conducted outreach to neighborhood associations over the last several months? And any feedback we have from that to conclude our year. And I'm not gonna put anybody on the spot here, so if you raise your hand, I'll call on you. Debbie.
I really liked this year, because what I did was I took the SPRAB flyer and I turned it into a real quick 4-point discussion of what SPRAB is and what our goals are. Just really quick, because who wants to hear that? But at least you know we exist. And then I went out to their parks and I took pictures of everything and then I had the personalized slide and Rob spent time with me telling me about ahead of time, so I knew what their problems were and what their goals were and what the issues were, at least to some extent. So I thought it was very effective and the parks that I went to were all applying for SPIF grants and I got to participate in their discussion about which ones they wanted to do and I thought it was a very effective way to do it.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Debbie.
Maybe.
Other thoughts, feedback, Rick?
Yeah, I had 3 neighborhood associations, 2 of which are highly organized and with people designed for involved with the parks. And so they knew about, some of them knew a lot more than I did, especially in the ones that are not in my area, but that I live in. Just a couple things. First of all, the South Central Neighborhood Association, that was right during the no mow stuff. And since that has, we made our recommendations to the city council and everything, I have received multiple thank yous from people in that neighborhood association for how we handled it and our resolution. And so I just wanted to pass those on to you. Of course, those that didn't agree probably will never talk to me, so. But I did get a lot of real positive response on that. But I think this is great. I live in the Fayrite area. And I'm actually going to become, I guess they call them directors for that. I'm going to be at all their meetings now. Because they are ones that could use a little bit more help in their organization. So it's a good thing for us, just like it was a good thing to have a city councilor be our liaison. It's important for us to be liaisons down to the neighborhood associations. So.
Great, thanks, Rick. Other feedback, input on neighborhood association outreach?
I would say that I've been remiss in not being able to get much of any of these meetings, and part of it has to do with my own schedule being conflicting on Thursday nights with the West Salem neighbor thing, but I'm gonna have to make some adjustments in order to do that better. And I really think Debbie's method is really good, and I want to model after that. So I'll be getting onto it.
Great, thanks, Al. Just making sure you're satisfied over
That's
there.
enough. Yeah. I'm taking notes for your annual report. I'm secretly a part of this agenda item.
Thanks, Rob. 2026 annual work plan development. So our bylaws specify that we can hold meetings whenever we decide, and that we'll establish a meeting schedule in January. But in December, we will create a work plan for the following calendar year. And so we are looking for input from all of you on what you would like your work plan to be for 2026, which will then be considered by the board during the next meeting in January, which we have is January 8th. That feels early. Is it January 8th?
That's the second Thursday of the month.
All right, early meeting next month. January 8th, this next meeting. Rob is working on pulling up work plan.
From the current year.
Current year work plan. He's working on sharing that
Can we just
online.
change the date, the year on it and proceed? It looks fine to me. The meeting schedule, we probably will have to wait until January.
So a couple of things impacting this, to your point, Rick, on the meeting schedule. In January, at the January 8th meeting, we'll proceed I believe the board will proceed with the same meeting time in January.
Yes.
Oh,
For the
January.
For the January eighth meeting. At which point that can be adjusted as necessary, and part of what might come into that adjustment is new board members that will be appointed by then,
Hopefully,
looking to our city council.
hopefully, new board members who were appointed on Monday.
They were
appointed.
appointed,
Yeah.
new board members who have been appointed already,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yes.
Well done, city councilors. And so having those new members come on board, to inform what that calendar looks like. And so that's part of what we'll go into here.
Go for it a little, yeah.
Please.
So we keeping it very similar is great. I'm definitely hearing that. I will say, my intention is to update this and bring it back in January. Also by collecting your feedback today and making some adjustments in the meantime. Under kind of special order of business, I will add some items there as I look at the park and rec work plan for the year. There are some items that I anticipate will be coming your way. You had public comment about one of those items today. And so you'll have several check-ins with the Wallace Natural Area effort. There'll be some other items that I will be adding in there, as staff will need your advice and your input on a few things in 2026. The update to the park system plan should be noted too, will be included in that.
The only thing we'll have to update on the work plan as well is the committee assignments, because we'll have new members who might be interested in some of those assignments, and obviously some
Yes.
outgoing members as well, so
Yes.
that can't happen today, per se.
Actually, there's two things on committee assignments. Yeah, we wouldn't want to, we wouldn't want to finalize those today. There's two things we want to check with legal. There's been a lot of changes in public meeting law over the past year. We want to make sure that those committees are still a viable option. And then also we'll have 3 new members, so that will be an item for January.
Just something I mentioned before was just if we're gonna engage with the neighborhood, or if you guys are gonna engage with the neighborhood associations, a little bit earlier is helpful, because the summer, there's a lot of times they don't have the meetings because of the National Night Out. And it's hard to get on their schedules because I know our Swan, my neighborhood association books up pretty early. So just a little bit quicker, a little bit earlier timeline if we want to get in time for the SPIF grants.
Other thoughts on work plan for Rob to
Yeah, I have a specific question.
go for?
I did over the past few years, we've tried to dialing in the right amount of time to devote to the CIP and to look at capital projects as they come forward. So any kind of input you specifically have about that, there's been an intention over the past year to have more regular check-ins on the CIP. And so any specific feedback on that would be really helpful. And right now, so what we did 3 check-ins, and those were in April, August, and we didn't do one in December because we did the park tour. And it's essentially, you saw all the work we've been doing.
And Rob's right, that has been a very intentional effort, perhaps in response to my complaining, which has been appreciated. But just making sure that we're all involved and that the board is aware of that process as a very key element in driving substantial investments in our parks. Right, and so that's where all of the major elements come into play, particularly as it relates to the development plans for parks. And as those are finalized, when we'll actually be able to implement those plans. And so I've appreciated the extra engagement and opportunity to at least be updated on kind of where that is. I've been encouraged to see how staff have shifted some of, at least from my perspective, shifted some of the ways that we're engaging in capital improvement efforts and prioritizing implementation of plans rather than just development of new plans. So that's been good to see and good engagement from my perspective. I think that in terms of kind of those special orders of business, a number of those ODOT and the implementation of that, the park system master park system plan updates and how that's going. That's something that kind of dropped off this year for a number of reasons. And so I expect that'll probably linger throughout next year. And then, I think a big component for the first half of the year will be, the Riverfront Park Playground, as a primary investment of the city, in a very prominent, place. And so that's something for the board to keep aware of, and just knowing the things that might pop up in that construction effort. Other thoughts?
I think it's workable. With minor adjustments as Rob sees fit.
One more specific.
Please.
Would there be any, the written report has a kind of a section devoted to Bush's Pasture Park. Would the board want to single that park out and have regular cadence of updates about it, or just maybe as staff sees the need to update you? That's just posing as a question, if anyone has thoughts on that.
I don't see it as any more special than the other parks enough to warrant a certain individual report, but as staff sees the need, warrants it. It is of some interest, of course, because it's right in the center and it's got very active neighbors that are really involved. It's important.
Other thoughts? Right. Rob, are we expecting any new park development plans to come about next year?
We are gonna start on the Wallace planning process, and we are going to start the system plan update.
Right.
We have some funded plans that I'm not sure we're going to begin next year. Specifically in my mind is Stevens Yoshikai Park, which is in Northeast Salem. Kind of sandwiched between Yoshikai Elementary School and Stevens Middle School. I think that one we may be pushing off just another year, because we really do want to, here's Raymond Joseph, who's our senior park planner right here. It's really a team of two, and the system plan is gonna be a huge lift for us, so we were really just trying to clear the deck for that work.
Go for that. I like that term. All right, any other thoughts on the work plan? Gonna stop trying to drag it all out of you. All right. We will move forward with council liaison updates. Councilor Varney, any particular?
Well, I don't want to
updates?
take up everyone's time. So, but one thing I wanted to mention that came up at Monday City Council meeting is, well, as you all know, we need more housing, and Salem adopted a housing production strategy. And so one of the presentations at Monday's meeting was the city development of code amendments to reduce the barriers to increasing housing density and to be able to build them faster. And the one that caught my eye and I thought is fab were changes to our tree code. So I know we primarily do stuff with city trees, but we also are interested in our urban forestry and monitoring our tree canopy. So in the code amendments, there are things to make it easier to remove significant trees. It's reducing some of the planting requirements or areas in parking lots. And so I just mentioned at the meeting that I would appreciate it if, when they're working on trees, they come give a presentation or at least chat with all of you about what they're planning. Okay, that's the only update I wanted to throw out there.
Can you be more specific on what the changes were to allow easier removal of significant trees?
It's to remove, to make it, the tree variances, the whole process, to shorten the process. I don't know if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I think it was just, was talking about the diameter of the trees, it was 20 inches for, I think they mentioned what oaks and 30
The
inches.
significance.
Yeah, and what many builders complain that the permit process is time consuming and thus costly. And so the planning department is trying to find mechanisms to move faster. And so they will be reviewing those tree variances probably in a little quicker mechanism. That's what they were indicating. But they will still be required to plant and to maintain that initial planting when trees are removed. And they were talking primarily about middle housing, and middle housing is when they're putting like duplexes and fourplexes on a lot that would have been primarily the size for a single family home. And so trying to increase the density, and in some of those cases, it may be that because the structure itself will use more of the space, trees that might have been staying for a house construction would need to be removed to create that fourplex, something to that effect. But then they will have to plant trees and shrubs to replace. Did that help?
Thank you very much. I think that satisfies me.
Yeah, that was it. That was just something that popped up.
Excellent, thank you. As a related question in terms of those changes, were there any changes to Salem development charges? For new development? System development charges? Thank you.
I think that there were some changes that if there were, and Mickey, help me if I'm failing on this one. If there was requirements for for a curb, sidewalks and street improvements, they would still be responsible, but in places where they were either not needed, there was some stipulation, but system development charges are still quite critical.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, we just brought up
yeah,
the CIP and like that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
key
Sure,
funding
sure.
mechanism for that.
Exactly.
I wanted to mention Director Martin came up and mentioned that looking at the methodology behind system development charges is planned.
Okay.
Coming up.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good. So we'll see more.
Excellent, thank you for jumping in on the spot on some of the technical details.
We hear about it, we know it then, but sometimes keeping it
Right, straight.
the forefront of the brain is not
For
always
sure.
easy.
All right, thank you, counselors. Board member updates. Any particular board member updates?
I just have one going to the dog park at Minnow Brown every day. And I know there's no answer to this, and I've actually talked to Rob a little bit about this. There is no answer, but there is a problem. And the problem is that it just happens quite a few times during the year. And this last time, there's a freight train going through, there's only one entrance into the park. Only one entrance, you can't get in and out any other, well, I guess unless you walk through the Courtney Bridge or whatever. But I think there was, from what I understand, there was a suspected pedestrian that was hit by a freight train. So they stopped the train, the police had to come, and the entrance to the Middle Brown was blocked. For, I understand, it was like up to 2 hours. So anybody who was in there couldn't get out. You know, it was a time of day that I know that a lot of people that take their dogs to the dog park and then go to work. Okay, so that really affects them. But even more, far more importantly is if there's an emergency situation in the park. And emergency vehicles could not get in, nobody can get out. So it's a problem, and I know that the railroads are the railroads and the city is the city, and never the twain shall meet, or whatever. But the sad part of this last one was, because we were going to the park at that time, and we couldn't get in, we waited 2 hours, you know, we didn't wait there, but if it would have gone up one more car, you could have gotten into the park. Okay,
Just one car.
this one car, and I was saying, how do we uncouple this thing?
Push it.
But it's a problem, and I think that maybe some type of a dialogue. I don't think you're gonna, unless you paved another road somewhere to get in and out of the park, which that's not gonna happen. But so I think there probably should be good to have some type of a dialogue with the railroads. I'm not sure, but it's a problem. I said I don't know what the answer is. But I'm always really good at finding problems, finding answers.
So I'll just simply add, if there are emergencies, the emergency vehicles can get across the bridge, Taco Bridge and into the park because the pathway is wide enough for vehicles, for emergency. So if there's an emergency, they could get to you. It's just cars can't get out, and the railroad is king.
Yeah.
Good note though, Counselor, thank you. All right, any other board member updates?
I've been making an effort to try to get to as many parks as I reasonably can, both to walk my dog and to inspect things, what's going on. And I'm struck in Walls Marine Park. I wanted to take a look at the proposed area where a path was to be constructed, and it's obvious that something needs to be done there. Deep, muddy ruts going from near the Union Street Bridge north into the camping areas. And it's a quagmire in spots. It does need to be paved. And I think that it would be a good thing, partly because I see it as one more leg of a bike path along the river. It may be the other side, but eventually I hope to see that going to Kaiser and south. On that side as well as on this side. So it's a good thing, and I think that it's appropriate.
All right. Thank you. Seeing no other updates, we'll move on to the written information reports. Any questions or comments on the written reports? Seeing none, we'll move forward to new business. Any new business?
Chair Norris?
Yes.
So staff has a couple updates about the agenda for next month. First one is at our next meeting, we'll be having nominations and elections of officers for 2026. So just a FYI for you all. And then the other item, the city attorney has asked us, and we will be putting on the agenda a discussion about the membership requirements of SPRAB. We'll be just, we've been asked to have you review what the requirements are, what the positions are, and then provide feedback to us so that there's a kind of a comprehensive effort going on to review all the boards and commissions in the city, and SPRAB's included in that. So that'll be a topic, and there'll be some information in the agenda packet specifically about what we're going to be looking for feedback on. Great. And for the 3 members who this is your last meeting, I would invite you, if you had interest on this very topic, to send your comments to staff, and we will include that in what we provide to the city attorney as well.
Excellent, thank you. All right, item number 9, farewell and recognition of outgoing members. So this is the last meeting for 3 of our board members. We have 3 new members that have been appointed as of this week, who join the board starting next month to start their 3-year terms. We would love to give an opportunity now for the 3 outgoing members to make some comments if they'd like. I'm gonna start with Debbie.
This board is amazing. You guys do such an incredible job. I mean, so much with so little. I love seeing how this happens behind the scenes, how cautious and careful you are, and with just how you make something out of nothing. I've seen it in the last 3 years. And it's been very informative, and I'm very impressed.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks for all your work over the last 3 years on this board. Alan Alexander, completing 2 terms on the board.
Yes, and I enjoyed every one of them. I do appreciate the opportunity to work with staff as well as the board members. I always learn something from other board members, learned a lot of details in the staff presentation. I'm very concerned about parks. I'm concerned about their relevance to the city. We all know it exists, but I hate to see having to depend on a levy every 5 years as the way to sustain parks. I don't think I don't think that is a workable solution. I don't know what the answer might be, but I'm very concerned about how we manage the financial health of our parks, as well as both the physical and community health. So I do appreciate the time. I appreciate the indulgence on the part of the members, has allowed me to speak when I felt a concern about a particular item, and I wish you well in the future. I apologize. The last year, of course, haven't been able to be very involved, but I do appreciate the time we did spend together, and I appreciate the effort you put to make our city better.
Great, thanks, Alan. And then I am the third one who will be stepping off the board. I've completed 2 terms as well, although mine was only 5 years. I did look it up. Started in September 2020. I was debating it last time. September 2020 was my first meeting. And so completed my second term here. It's been a real pleasure, a real honor to be able to serve on the board and in particular to serve as the chair and to work alongside all of you on behalf of the parks. We've dealt with a lot of thorny issues that have really reared up, particularly in the last couple of years. Although my first meeting was dealing with a tree code violation that was considerably heated. And so that's how I started. But I think over the last several years, over my 2 terms, it's been great to see how this board has become, I think, more directly involved and more directly seen as a valuable resource by City Council and in fulfilling our role. And I think Councilor Barney is a big part of that and serving as our liaison and as a former member of SCRAB as well. And so that's been a really, I think, a great deepening of this board's role and a deepening of our ability to help improve the city and the city's parks and recreation programs for all of Salem. And so have really appreciated that opportunity. I think this board serves as a key role as an advocate for our parks, for our recreation programs, both to the city council, but also to the city at large. And I think as well as to other granting foundations and other governments who can provide those funds to help really bolster our programs. And so I've appreciated the opportunity to be involved in those and writing letters of support to grants to help drive some of that. So it's been a great 5 years, a little over 5 years on the board here. I'm gonna miss it. But happy to play a part in it, and looking forward to being involved in the city and in any number of ways moving forward. Thank you. Rick.
Yeah, I would just like to take a second and to thank Alan for all of his being a champion of the parks. I learned a lot from him when I first got on the board. You will be sorely missed, and healthy days ahead. And Debbie, gosh, you have been so good. You have been so, your presentations have been wonderful, and we will miss you, and I'm really upset that you're moving. So if you change your mind. And Keith, you've been a great leader for us, and you will be sorely missed. Your insight has been wonderful. So thank you very much. And hopefully our 3 replacements, they have big shoes to fill. And hopefully they have big feet.
I second that, Rick. I agree.
We'll announce the three names. Do you have the three names?
I don't have them in front of me. Yeah.
I can give them to you. I
Do you
looked
have
them
them, Councilor Nishioka?
up. I do, I just looked them up, but I think I deleted it. I mean, I got rid of the thing, but I'll take a minute and I will tell you.
All right, any other
Quickly,
final remarks?
yeah,
Go ahead,
on
Rob.
behalf of Jen, myself, and everyone at Parks and Recs, we do have some certificates of appreciation for each one of you. We truly appreciate the time and energy you contribute to the whole city. You know, this is, after all, volunteer work, and you guys are amazing volunteers, and we really appreciate
And the
that.
passion and support that
Yeah.
you have demonstrated over the last several years for Parks and Rec. We've come milestones from where we were before and the advocacy. So we really appreciate the zealous nature at times that you have supported Parks and Rec when there's been, some dark days. So we appreciate you being so supportive of us.
So Alan, we will get you yours, and then Debbie and Keith, we have certificates to send you off with today.
Great, thank you.
And we also have cookies and lemonade as well.
And I brought a bunch of, I've been baking all week and I brought a whole big plate of cookies back there.
Oh, well, we can go for homemade, sorry. Option A or B.
I don't want to take them home, and I guess they're gonna go to their, whatever room it is, they stash their goodies here.
Yeah, we provided.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Councilor Nishioka, did you have the names?
Yes, so it's Fraser Wick, Delight Walker, and Chris Donaldson.
Excellent. Well, looking forward to having the three of them join this good bunch on the next meeting on January 8th. January 8th at 2 p.m. And at that point, that new group of you will set your meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. So hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, wonderful close to the end of the year. Thanks for everything you're doing. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Rick. Any second?
Second.
Second by Debbie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.